How do you know if you are in your flow? If you are in God's flow or the divine flow, which of course is your flow. There's no separation between the two, but it feels like that many times, doesn't it? It feels like there's God or the divine, and then there's me, and the flow is flowing, and I am not in it. What happened? It's such an important piece of the whole puzzle of finding harmony and peace and joy and fulfillment. And most of us did not grow up learning that. We learned, like most people in the world, to go out there and create a flow or find somebody else's flow and then flow along with them. And I have talked to so many people who are longing to get back to the flow, get to know it, get to trust it, and remember it. Remembering is a big part of it because it is not separate from you, but you have forgotten to put your attention to it. And I know I'm putting my hand outside of myself right now, but that's actually not right because the flow is here. And we have forgotten that it's there. We have forgotten to go there for it. And instead, we leave the flow and go out there and try and create something that is not connected to the natural flow of life, of the divine, of fulfillment, of the infinity of life. We are separate and we suffer from it. We lack, we get sick, we suffer, we feel lonely, we feel abandoned, rejected, and that is only because we are cut off from it. So today I just want to remind you that it is already there. In Hakomi, which is the work that I do as a Hakomi therapist, we say that Hakomi is about remembering what you already know. You already know it, but you have forgotten. So you need to remember it. You need to start to go inside to the stillness, to the silence, to the presence, which is not in your mind. We go to the mind for our answers, to find out how to create a flow, how to get abundance, how to be rich, how to be successful. We go here to the mind, but the mind is cut off from the flow. It is separate. It's as if there is the divine life, the divine flow, fulfillment, and then separate from that, we have created a world where we are not connected to the flow. And that's why we run dry. That's why we feel that we have to work so hard to create a flow or to get into the flow, or we have to pray to God to send the flow, or whatever it is we do. We do many silly things. But it is here, and we have forgotten it. We already know it because it's not separate from us. We just have to pause and open up to that flow, which is coming from your heart, which is coming from your presence, your stillness. The mind is not still. So we have to choose to not engage in the mind in whatever way we do that. Meditation is a really good start. And then we need to learn to keep going there and contemplate and abide there and rest there and listen. It's like we open up to listen so that the flow can come through, so that the flow can tell you what it is. We're not even trying to get out there and follow the flow. We start with just being silent and listen to the flow and get to know the intimacy, the intricacies, the qualities, the experiences of what the flow is. And the flow is already here. It cannot not be there. So if we take a moment, take a nice deep breath, and just remind yourself that the flow is already here. It's inside of me. And I just need to get silent and still enough so I can start hearing it, hearing the water moving, the energy moving. And how does it move? How does it feel when you dip into that flow? It has certain specific sensations and qualities. And again, it's going to be different for everyone. It's the same, but it's different. It is experienced in different ways. There's all these facets of the diamond that we have all heard about, and it each has a different quality, but it is still part of the diamond. It's still part of the flow. So when I go there and just remind myself that it is already here, then I'm already open to hearing it, to feeling it, to sensing it. And the first thing that happens to me right now is that I feel very, very happy. It's like, oh, thank God it's already here. Ah. And then that deep breath, that sense of relaxing, helps me open up to the flow, and then it can start flowing more. And we do not know how it is going to express itself, but we can sense the qualities of it. For me, the flow is probably the most important part of my life, of why I am here. Because when I'm connected to the flow, I don't need to worry. I don't need to work so hard because I'm not separate from it. I would say for me, it has been a learning and a practicing, and it's an ongoing learning and practicing to relax, lean into this lovely flow, and then just be open and show me, what are you? And like, how could I have forgotten you for so long? I remember when I had my Big Bang awakening back in the 80s when I still lived in Denmark. And I remember I would just say, please don't ever let me stray away from you again. I mean, it was such a homecoming. And you wonder, like, why would I leave that again? But I did many times. And I keep coming back many times. And to the point where now I just cannot even allow myself to leave it for very long, because I catch myself. It's like, whoops, back in the flow. And it's like, yes, yes. So learning the language of the flow is learning the language of your soul and how it expresses itself. And it takes time. It takes a willingness. It takes a curiosity. It takes a passion, to really want to know that. So that is like a priority. When it becomes a priority, you will learn it really fast, and you will start practicing, and you will make mistakes. You go like, oh, it felt like a yes, but you know what? It didn't quite go that way. So that's all part of the learning. So you do not know it before you start. You start practicing, and then you start learning its language and its expression. And the more you do that, the more you get this smile, and there's a peace, and there's no fear. There's just a really sweet sense of joy and gratitude. Also, for me, definitely gratitude, because, like, oh, thank God, thank you. Thank you. I don't want to go there anymore. And just keep coming back. It's fine if you leave it for a day, a week, a month, who knows? But as soon as you catch yourself, like, oh, it's already here. Ah, thank you for joining me in the flow.